Well, welcome everybody to the Moviecast. I'm Logie Bear. This is Connor, or the Shininator.
The Shininator.
The Shininator. And today we're going to be talking about the highs and lows of actor Kevin James, as you can see on screen.
And his 37 acting credits.
His 37 acting credits.
I believe so. You have to go to the other screen. Scroll.
Yeah, I didn't do it last week, but
36, my bad. Okay. I was one off.
You were one off. But yeah, so this is going to be a nice review of Kevin James. We kind of
select movies. We're not going through everything.
We haven't, and a lot of his TV stuff. It's really hard to review. Like Mike and
we're the movie cast, not the TV cast. So we're looking at his movies.
Yeah. So I think we just start with what he's known for right here.
Boom.
Mall Cop, first one, Paul Blart Mall Cop.
It's a fun movie.
For myself personally, this is what put Kevin James on the map for me, and I think a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
I think he really broke out with this role in Hollywood, like in the movies anyway.
This would have been one of the first ones that he wasn't accompanying another actor, because he started off doing Hitch, which was a Will Smith movie.
Yes,
and he did a ton of stuff and has done since with Adam Sandler. But this is a Kevin James movie, and it's a good one. Props to him, dude. That's a good one. It's unique, I would say, because they have some fun with some ideas with like the mall and the tech and this character, right? It's funny. It's good. You know, the action is not like, you know, Avengers level blockbuster action, but it's good action. It's fun to watch.
I think also putting it at Christmas time, it's the same with Die Hard, right? Like,
I think it was Black Friday,
which is around Christmas.
Yeah.
So, which it is on Black Friday, which again is it's kind of a really cool writing technique, I think, to put on Black Friday, because it's going to be the busiest day in the mall, so they play off of that really well.
Yep.
And, excuse me, something caught my throat. There we go. I love Paul Blart Mall Cop. It's one of my favorite comedies because they play off of some really good, like, spy humor in the movie. And I loved spy movies, and so this was really funny. Like, one of my favorite scenes is when, like, it's like a montage, and he's, like, going around, and he's, like, going through all the stores, and he goes to, like, slide behind something.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a big guy, so he gets stuck, like, halfway, and he doesn't move, and he has to, like, scooch his way along. And I think that's really funny, because if it was a perfect spy movie, they would have just slid, and it would have looked all slick. But because it's, like, Kevin James, it's really funny. And him being hypoglycemic and diabetic, I thought that was unique. I thought that was a really cool, like, take on...
A fun addition.
Yes, a very fun addition.
So, they say it's a high.
Anyway, the framing was all off. Keep going.
Moving on to the next one. When we get it figured out.
Well,
Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Bad.
Just bad.
It's not good.
There are some movies that I just don't think there should be sequels for. This is one of them.
Well, listen, they could have done a sequel. I'm not saying they shouldn't have or couldn't have. But they did it in such a weird context with him being at the security
guard convention or whatever.
Yeah. And then, like, part of the joy of the first one is he's using things that you might not expect him to use.
Yeah, like the fog machine at the rainforest.
He's using like a bikini top to like tie some doors closed because it's like a tanning shop, right? Stuff like that, and using a robot, like a little robot to like distract him. Like it's unique, you know. When you're like, oh, it's cool. I like how you use that thing from a generic shopping mall in that way. In this one, they just tell you, like, oh yeah, security guards now have beanbag guns. So that, you know, at the end of the movie, he's going to fire a beanbag gun. And it's all security guard stuff. So the uniqueness and the fun of the mall cop experience with him using the mall as a cop
is
completely gone.
Also, they, like, scale up on the action way too much in this movie. There's the whole scene with like the zip line and him like crashing through the window and stuff, and I was like, no, this isn't what. That's not how I would envision. You're talking about security guards. I don't know a single security guard that's ever gonna be on a zip line, or like stopping, like actually stopping a bank heist or whatever. I don't remember. I don't even remember the antagonist of the movie.
I don't remember.
I just know that his daughter's in it, which I think his daughter's a cool character. I like her.
It's good motivation.
It's good motivation. Her weird love interest thing was a little dumb. I thought that was really stupid, but whatever.
Now, another thing we have to address. The comedy got really weird in this one. I don't know if you remember this. He's in the back storehouse or something, and this dude just eats like a rotten banana.
Oh yeah!
It is this pure brown banana, and it's supposed to be funny, but it's just so odd and uncomfortable, and just not funny at all.
Yeah, I can see that. It seems to me that this movie, and we'll talk about the other two movies too, but it seems to me that this movie, we've talked about it before, at least in person, that or at least it's something that I know. In comedy, you have two types of comedy. You have high comedy and then you have low comedy. High comedy is it's the smug remarks, it's the puns, it's the like you're witty and actual like good stand up like
thought went into.
Yeah. And then there's low comedy, which is slapstick, pie in the face. It's the dumb
jokes.
Yeah. And stuff like that. And this movie, Paul Blart Mall Cop 1 actually has a lot of good high comedy in it.
Yeah.
This one doesn't. They got a bigger budget, and that means, we have more money, so we can do stupid slapstick comedy now.
We can have Kevin Jame get kicked by a horse.
Yeah, and it falls to the same thing Grown Ups 2 did in that regard.
Which we'll get to.
Okay, we'll get to that.
So, safe to say, it's a low.
It's definitely first Paul Blart Mall Cop, high. This one, low. I've never actually seen any of King of Queens. In the Moviecast, we don't really talk about it.
We're just gonna skip that.
Yeah,
we'll
we're gonna
scroll
go
down just a little bit so we can see the full poster there. Or obvious. Right there. Boom. Here comes the boom. I love this movie.
You watched it recently too.
Watched it a couple months ago, yeah. I think it's a good story. By the way, I love it. It's a great movie. It's a good story, right? It's a nice character that he plays. As a teacher, he used to have a lot of passion and kind of lost it, and now he's doing this thing not because he wants to save his school, but because he wants to be a good guy for one of the teachers who he's kind of found a friend in. The fighting as an MMA movie, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And now a lot of the fighting is comedic. Right, there's a scene where they're fighting and just the stage gives out and they roll out.
I'm pretty sure that's in the trailer.
Yeah. He throws up on a guy after he wins his first fight. Like it's funny. Like it's good comedy, when these moments happen. The fighting's good. He's not an expert right away, and he also doesn't. At the beginning, he's not an expert because he loses all the time. That's kind of the point of the movie. Like, he decides he wants to win, and he doesn't just automatically win every fight. Like, he still loses a bunch.
Yeah.
And that's what's nice is he's not this perfect guy immediately. But there's definitely a growth. I love the role of music in the movie.
Well, because the trailer for this is really good. Because it's got here comes that song, and it times it really well. But I'm pretty sure it times with him getting punched in the face, and not the other way around, which is super comedic and really funny.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie I think once back in whenever the year it came out. But I do remember enjoying this movie because I think my friends and I were super into MMA at the time, so we kind of thought it was really funny.
Yeah. Also, Kevin Jame got jacked for this movie. He's still doing Johnson or anything, but he's known for being a really big guy, and he's got a nice figure to him by the end of that movie.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
Yeah. So, props to him for
hard work for that. I got to admit,
Also, it's a high.
Definitely a high. remember what he's produced actually.
Okay, so we haven't seen Becky.
Yeah, I haven't
Apparently, it came out like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it's an indie film.
Hotel Transylvania. He's done all three of them.
Yeah,
but it's voice acting, so it's really hard for us to tell
I haven't seen
what his performance is. The movies as they go, I'll just say first one's pretty good, second one's alright, third one's pretty bad.
As a lot of
are they going to influence Kevin James' career? Probably not. I think it's just a side project for him to do. So we're not going to really address whether they're high or low.
Well, it's because it's with his Sandler best friend. So
yeah.
Sandler's the main character, so he's like, "Hey James, I gotta want some money? Here you go."
Now the next one I think we should talk about. True Memoirs of an International Assassin.
I love this movie. Like, it's one of the first. It's kind of in that first wave of Netflix original movies that were coming out, and I actually was waited for this movie to come out. Like, I knew the day it was releasing on Netflix. I'd watched every trailer. Like, actually followed this movie because I thought it was such. Kevin James really hasn't ever done like a super heavy action role like this.
At least with like a spy act. Well, I guess we were talking about Paul Blart, but
that's
in a serious or more serious role.
Well, Paul Blart's a comedy movie. Yeah. Tales of International Assassin is an action.
Yeah, with elements of comedy.
Yeah. I love this movie. I think the idea of where the movie falls flat is at the very end when, if I'm remembering it correctly, he's a writer who's writing the stories of a spy.
And then people believe that they're actually true.
And then don't they try to... Then people
he gets kidnapped and then he escapes, but everyone believes that he's actually this amazing assassin. Yeah.
Which is it's funny.
Yeah. Where are you saying it falls flat?
That ending is like when he gets kidnapped. I think is like I didn't like it all that much. I think it would have been way better if this character that he was writing about died and not like it got a little weird transferring between like the writing because when he's writing like you see him like typing or whatever to his computer and then it will like split cut to him doing an action scene and you clearly can tell that like that's part of like his writing.
Yeah.
But at the end he gets kidnapped and I got a little lost. I was like, is he writing this right now? Like I was kind of
got to relive the fantasy that he wrote earlier.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just
what I will say
ending felt flat.
is there was room. There was an option in this movie where it could have been like, okay, because he survives and like beats the bad guys at the end of the movie. And there's an option. The way they could have done it, and it just would have made no sense. But I like how they did at the beginning, where he's typing this story, and he grabs like a throwing knife and just throws it like not even looking, and gets like a bullseye. So yes, he's writing about this. They're all fantasies, but he's also like pretty skilled as a fighter and as a weapons.
Well, I thought that was like showing the ending before the beginning. That's why I interpreted that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the throwing knife thing at the beginning was him writing about the time he got kidnapped and had to escape, so he learned like how to. I don't know. Either way, it is.
In real life, he threw.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he's doing, and that's what was cool.
Yeah, I just I thought there was a second thing added to that of like he was writing about the time he got kidnapped, so it was after the whole movie takes place, but at the beginning, you know. But it wasn't.
No.
Okay. Yeah, Little Boy. I haven't seen.
What do you think? High or low?
Oh,
it's a high.
It's very much a high. Sorry, I jumped to the next one. Very much a high.
We can go to Pixels now.
Yeah.
President Will Cooper. Kevin James was the President of the United States in 2015.
Otis, man.
Congrats, man. Like, that's a pretty big jump. Yeah, like, look at what he was before. Grown Ups 2. He was just kind of a dad that got beat up and had to jump. Huh?
Pixels came out first.
2015, Grown Ups 2 was 2013.
Was it really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm lying.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool.
He does make the big jump. I don't remember much of Pixels because it's not a good movie.
It didn't wow you?
And as a person who's played video games their entire life, it definitely did not wow me in that area.
Yeah.
I think it's a unique idea. And I wish it had, the CG's in it. The CG in it looks pretty good. And
That's true.
Kevin James is good in his role. The 5 minutes that he's in the movie.
He gets sidelined for a lot of it, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, he comes back at the end though.
Yeah, to fight the boss.
Yeah, which I think is cool. So good use of Kevin James, and
when he's used.
Yeah, when he's used, it's good. I don't know. I'll give this one a high just because Kevin James does a good job in it.
He just said it's a bad movie, but I'll give it a high.
Well, because we're ranking it off of Kevin James, not solely on the movie itself.
Sure.
So that's why it's a high for Kevin James. It's a low as a movie in general. So if you're a really big Kevin James fan,
just watch all the Kevin James scenes.
Yeah. Sure.
There you go.
So then we got.
We already did Polar Monk Up 2.
Yeah,
Grown Ups 2. Do you want to talk Grown Ups 1 first?
We'll just do them together. We'll just kind of do them together.
Alright, Grown Ups 1.
Fantastic.
It's a good movie.
Kevin James actually has a good arc as a character in this movie, where it's like he loses his job, he's ashamed, he's trying to flex on his friends, they call him out on his BS, and like he cuts his growth, and really great. And he's also like has this whole thing with his wife and his kids, they don't say no, that he grows a pair and actually like, disciplines and stuff. It's really cool.
He also pees in a public pool. And it turns dark blue.
Yeah, they all do that apparently.
Yeah.
Also, he's just like such good comedic relief in a movie that is comedy.
Yeah.
But like he services as a break to any seriousness that's in the movie.
Yeah.
So
and there is some in this movie.
There is actually.
It's nice.
Like the perfect example, he goes to use the rope swing, does the triple backflip or whatever, and lands and almost kills a baby bird.
But what's even funnier is when he's on the skis on the beach and the boat tries to take off.
Oh yeah.
When he's Kevin James, he's really big, so the boat can't go anywhere.
Yeah. But back to the bird thing. That's a serious scene in the frame of the movie. This bird dies. He's almost dead, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And he's holding a stick, and you can see his bone. And it's like everybody's like, ugh, and then he says, "It's a stick. It's a stick. I got you." And it's really funny, but it breaks up the seriousness of like the context of the movie itself, which is really cool.
And the movie in general, and this is Kevin James has a part to play in this. It's a nice movie about like what happens when you grow old. What do you do with your friends? How often do you have to reunite and get together? And when you do, what does it look like? And how does age going to affect that? And it's a nice. And that's a really good word for it. It's a nice story.
Yep.
And Kevin James has a great part to play in that.
Yeah, one of the scenes that I really want to highlight is, it's him and Adam Sandler, and you can. This is just the scene that you can just tell that they're like actually friends in real life.
Yeah. It's
after they go to the water park, and then they're back, and they're in the kitchen. It's late at night, and they're both drinking water, and it's just like they both know what's going on, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And they like. To me, that scene seemed like it was completely improv on set, and I love it. I'm sure it wasn't, but that's how good it is to me. For that. So.
That's how little faith you have in the script.
No, not.
Okay, Grown Ups 1?
High.
It's a high, baby.
Yeah.
Grown Ups 2. Spoiler alert, it's a low.
It sucks.
It doesn't. I can't even say there's much carryover from the first movie. It's not even that they did what the first movie did and worse. They don't even do a lot of what they did in the first movie.
I talked about it earlier, but it suffers from the same thing Pablo and Mall Cop did.
The low humor.
The good high comedy versus you could do low comedy well. They just don't.
There's a time and a place for it, and they didn't do it well. Also, and part of why the movie sucks. What's his name? Nick
Offerman.
No,
Swartzen.
Goodness me. He drags that movie down
so much.
Like 40 notches.
It's bad.
And then everyone kind of falls down with him.
He's not even in it that much, but the scenes that I'm just like, dude, stop.
Bad.
No, stop. There's one funny joke that he makes, and is when they're at Target, and it's not the rap because that's stupid low comedy.
Yeah.
It's when he goes to bed.
And takes all his clothes off.
He takes his clothes off and he goes to take a dump in the toilet that isn't a toilet. That's a good use of low comedy because you're not like, it's not pulling the cord on a raft, which physically and
It's not how they work.
Yeah, not at all how it works with physics. So whatever. But he also, his arc in this movie sucks.
Kevin Jame, you're talking about now.
Yeah, his arc sucks.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a lot of it right now.
So
I remember him jumping off the cliff naked.
So he does jump off the cliff naked.
Doesn't he land on someone?
Oh, so yes. So they have this cliff jump scene, whatever, and basically...
Does he land on David Spade?
Yes, he does. And David Spade yells, "I was inside you."
Yeah.
Or "You were inside of me." Or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Anyway, the whole point of that scene is like Lammensall, which is the guy's last name, or whatever. He's never jumped off this cliff before because he's this big guy, but he's super soft. And so they're trying to get him to do it. Because apparently he has no backbone. And so he jumps off all naked because Taylor Lautner shows up and makes him do it, I guess. I don't know. It's really stupid. But the arc in this movie, first of all, there's no mention of like how he gets this new...
Oh, doesn't he go to his mom's
So
house?
basically, he's supposed to be working, and I guess he kind of is because his family still has a house, I guess, and whatever. But instead of like telling his wife about their marital problems, he goes and runs to his mom, and they just watch Days of Our Lives. And like that's the whole thing. It's just that.
It's a big step down.
It's terrible. And then his wife later on finds out and feels bad somehow.
Who plays his wife? Because Salma Hayek was Adam Sandler's wife, right?
Yes.
Maria Bello.
Yeah. What else has she done?
Which one was she? Oh, okay.
I don't know. But, so yeah, she doesn't... It sucks.
She's like the most forgettable wife in those movies, too.
To tell you the truth, I think she's the only other wife.
Well, then there's
Maya
Rudolph.
Yeah, Maya Rudolph. But I don't know. It just isn't good. There's one funny scene at the end with his mom, and it's good high comedy, where the friends come together from the last movie.
Yeah.
Because they get in a big giant fist. It makes no sense. But he has one funny. It's the grandma. It's not even him, but it's just related to him. Where they're talking about how friends drift apart or something like that, and how mistakes happen, and how he was a mistake, and that his dad and his mom were in the bathroom at a Patriots game, and that's how he was conceived. And it's really funny, but that's like, that's the only like two redeeming things about this movie for Kevin James.
It's definitely not even enough to redeem.
No,
him alone in the movie, let alone the whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's a low.
It's a low.
Probably
the lowest.
Have you seen Zookeeper?
No.
Well, I think the next two will be a little bit of me talking. You can bounce off me as you will. Zookeeper. Kevin James trying to impress a girl, and this is mostly off past memories. I believe I have it though. He's trying to impress a girl, and he works at the zoo. And one night he passes out or falls into an exhibit or something, and he finds out that all the animals can talk, and they're going to give him advice on how to win over this girl.
I think I did see this movie, or at least I started it. Now that you talk about it more,
yeah.
And
they give him all this advice, but they're all different animals, and all animals have like different like mating rituals.
Oh.
So he learns all these different things, but none of them really make sense. So like, from like the bear, he learns how to like, and like put his arms up and like roar and scare people off, right? Which he ends up using later when he's a card dealer later on in the movie.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say the movie's a low, but his role, he plays off the animals pretty well.
Nice, that's good.
And he can do what the animals tell them to do really well, and it's kind of funny. It's definitely him walking around like a weirdo, but you know what? Sometimes that's all you need. Kevin James wailing his arms around, trying to roar like a bear.
Well, he's a bear.
Truthfully, if there was a middle that we had, the highs, lows, and middles, Zookeeper would probably be a middle. What's his name? Griffin Keys.
Yeah. From what you're describing and from what I remember of this movie, because I'm pretty sure I watched half of it, so I'm pretty sure I got bored. Yeah. I'd put it. I'll give it high just because it's compared to the lows that
it's a low high.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
It's bottom tier of the highest.
Not a lot to say about that one. I don't think people really.
For some reason, I always get it confused with We Bought a Zoo. I don't know why.
That's Matt Damon.
Yeah, I don't know why I get him confused. But
next up, The Dilemma, which I actually watched 2 nights ago. Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. Which now that I said that means it's no longer going to be on Netflix. But oh well. Yeah. It's not really a Kevin James movie.
Yeah, he's in it for what? 10 minutes?
Maybe 15. But the movie Dilemma, Vince Vaughn and Kevin James are best friends. Kevin James is married to what's your name? Sayona Ryder or something.
Okay.
And Vince Vaughn is dating Jennifer Connelly. Winona Ryder. Winona?
I think it's Winona.
Winona Ryder. Cool. And so Winona Ryder and Kevin James are really pressuring Vince Vaughn to propose because Jennifer Connelly's she's just waiting for him. So as Vince Vaughn's trying to find the perfect plan, the perfect place to do this proposal, he goes to the botanical gardens where he finds Winona Ryder cheating on Kevin James. And the dilemma, the titular dilemma of the movie, is Vince Vaughn has to find out if he's going to tell Kevin James that his wife's cheating on him, and if so, how is he going to do it? Because they're also in the middle of like the biggest business deal that they've ever made.
Oh.
So most of the movie is Vince Vaughn trying to figure things out. Kevin James in this movie plays the brains of the operation. So they're like a business duo. They're working on electric motors that sound like gas motors, because the idea is that people want electric motors to be eco-friendly, but electric motors aren't sexy. So Kevin James makes electric motors that sound powerful, right? To give you that sex appeal back in your car. And Vince Vaughn is just the guy who's really good at words to get them into the place to do it. As a brainy guy, Kevin James is pretty good in this movie. He has like breakdowns, but they're not like squawking and falling over and like throwing glasses on the floor, right? It's like, dude, I'm actually just freaking out. I need you to like not be in my space right now. It's like, what I think I'll say this: Kevin James's highest praise I can give him in this movie is he does a friendship with Vince Vaughn really well. I would be shocked to find that they did not like each other off screen, because just the way that they interact with each other and bounce back and forth, like they're good friends.
So would you say that based off of that comment, you think it'd be hard to be friends with Vince Vaughn?
Well, I mean, not every pair of actors on screen is good friends.
That's true.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but Hitman's Bodyguard, Samuel Jackson and Ryan Reynolds hated each other.
Like
off
two
screen.
Big alpha male, big dog actors together like that, and two very strong personalities. What are you gonna expect?
Yes, So.
He's Barnyard?
Yeah.
He's the main voice in Barnyard? That's one of my favorite movies!
Before we continue.
For like animated movies, sorry.
The Dilemma, it's a high. It's good.
I'm excited.
Okay, have you seen Pronounce You Chuck and Larry?
No.
Neither have I, so I'll assume it was a low high. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
On intuition.
Yeah,
Barnyard. I guess it's another anime.
It's another voice, but I like Barnyard.
That's called boy tipping.
Yeah, whatever. It's a funny movie. It's a good animated movie. So we got
Hitch.
Hitch.
Have you seen Hitch?
Not since it came out.
You haven't seen it since. That was 2005.
Yeah,
I've
seen it
I thought that was 2001. Oh my days.
I don't know. I feel like I've watched it, but I don't know when. It's been more than a year.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned this earlier. It's not a Kevin James movie. It's definitely a Will Smith movie, and Kevin James is the catalyst for half the plot.
Which is funny because the whole movie's around Kevin James.
Well, it's twofold. So Will Smith is
teaching
the dating teacher.
Yeah.
To teach you how the rule he has. I'm gonna get you to the third date. First one, you're gonna get her interested. The second one, you're gonna get her to really like you. And the third one, you'll get her in bed, and then you got her for good. Which
we don't adore. We don't.
I don't condone.
We do not endorse
on the third date.
Yeah.
And then he meets Kevin James, who's trying to get in a relationship with the head CEO of this really big company, and he's a low-level desk worker. So the odds are really against him. And as Will Smith is teaching Kevin James how to do this, he finds a girl that he really likes, but just completely fails to romance her at all. So he tries to do something. So one of them, she's not white. She's an immigrant or a descendant of. So this takes place in New York. So he takes her to Ellis Island, which is where all the immigrants had to come in the early 1900s. And he finds her grandfather's name or something. And it's supposed to be look at this, look how awesome this is. It's so romantic. But then she just breaks out in tears because she had a terrible relationship with her grandfather.
Man, real thing though. How would he have known?
Yeah.
Right? That just sucks.
Yeah. He eats something, it has an allergic reaction, his whole face swells up. I'm not even talking about Kevin James anymore, but it's definitely a romantic comedy. So if you're not into them, you're probably not gonna like the movie. I don't hate some romantic comedies. This one was tolerable. It was good.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, and it's Kevin James. This is one of his earliest things. How much farther is below it?
50 First Dates.
I guess he had some TV stuff in there. Okay.
Yeah, he did. He started on TV.
Yeah.
And worked his way through.
So, but this is one of his earlier movies, and you kind of get this. If you go back now and watch it, the way that he's acting, you're like, oh yeah, that's Kevin James. Right? He's doing his little dance moves. And
he's so good at
apartment.
The hips.
And it's yeah. He definitely set up a TV or a movie persona for himself early on, as is seen in this movie, and he does it really well, and that just remained consistent through the rest of his work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked his role. I think that he gets to play a bit of this underdog story, low level trying to get uptown girl, right?
Yeah.
I think movie and character, high.
Nice. From what I have seen this movie, and from what I remember, it's a high.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50 First Dates. I think he's only just very much a side character.
Factory worker. Yeah. I feel like he makes a cameo.
Yeah. So, and we don't need to talk about Pinocchio.
TV series. TV movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've hit.
I want to know what he produced though. The Crew. Kevin James.
Produced some of his own stuff. That's fair.
Well, he probably because he does a lot of his own stunts. So
stunts he just falls over.
Yeah, but he does a lot of his own stunts. So that's the same thing with why Tom Cruise produces all of the Mission Impossible movies. Yeah. Or any movie he's in, it's because you can get insurance to do your own stunts.
Also, Tom Cruise is a little different because he just wants to rewrite every movie he's in to make him look cooler and taller.
And to run more.
Yes.
I don't know.
Unnaturally straight back.
Yeah. It's got 9 writer. I don't want to keep going. I don't know.
Soundtrack. I bet you one of them is Here Comes the Boom. Nope. Never mind.
Oh yeah, because these is him singing though.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see what he was for a writer. Oh, okay, he helped write Paul Blart Mall Cop 2? He did the whole screenplay for Zookeeper?
Probably not the whole screenplay, but he helped in it.
Wow.
So the second one, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, looks like they just gave him a writing credit because he wrote the first one.
Wow,
and because it's the same character.
Yeah. Even still, that's pretty. I didn't know he wrote Paul Blart Mall Cop. That's
Scroll down a little more.
That gives.
What else is in there? Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh,
has he directed anything?
Doesn't have a director credit anywhere.
No, that's right. You can still be a hero in my book, Kevin.
Well, also, I'll say this. Kevin James hasn't been in a ton of movies recently, and there aren't a ton of movies coming out, but if you want to keep up with him, he actually has this really poppin' YouTube channel.
Poppin'.
Like it's just Kevin James, and he does some really funny sketch comedy in there. Like he does the sound. It's called Sound Guy from I Am Legend, and it's really funny because I Am Legend, the whole thing is like can't trust the people because they can be clones or whatever. Like, isn't that I Am Legend?
That is definitely not I Am Legend.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm getting confused with something else then. Anyway, he does some really good sketch comedy on there, which I think is really funny. I'm surprised. I thought he was in a lot more stuff, to be honest.
Well, you know what that says though, is in the few things that he's done, he's made such an impression that we know who Kevin James is on less than 30 titles.
It's fair.
Really, because we haven't seen a bunch of them.
Yeah, which is...
That's really good.
It is really good. I think him falling into Adam Sandler and everybody's crew is good. Like, I think if he hadn't done that, he probably wouldn't be as famous as he is.
But, yeah, it's a possibility.
Because... I think,
and you know what? I'm not even upset that he found that crew because he bounces off them in some movies really well. Specifically, Grown Ups.
Grown Ups 2 actually, Kevin James is not the problem with Grown Ups 2.
He's just not.
He's just not written well. He's just not written well. But there's definitely improv moments in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like there are some funny moments in Grown Ups 2 when the one dude's like trying to fix the ice cream machine. And he stands over top of it, and it's chocolate, and he keeps grunting as he hits it or whatever. And like that, from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure most of that was actually improv.
Like it was so hard to improv.
No. The jokes and like they said, "Hey, we're doing this scene, but there are no more lines of dialogue."
Yeah.
I don't know. That's murmurings from
the deep web.
The deep web of the Kevin James Wikipedia. I'm pretty sure actually is where I found it. Because I looked at it recently. Today. But I don't have much more to say on Kevin James.
I think overall, if we want to talk about Kevin James himself as a high or a low, he's a high.
Very much a high.
He's a good comedic actor. He's been thrown into some rough roles, right? And not all of his movies work, which we've found. We've had some lows. But you know what? Like we said earlier, just a few minutes ago, he has 36 friends, 34 that have come out, because 2 of those are announced or post-production. People know who Kevin James is. He's very funny. He's done some good movies. He's a successful guy.
I kind of want to look up his net worth. It won't be.
Let's just do it.
Not doing anything else.
What do I think it's going to be?
It'll be in the millions.
I'm going to say 300 million. Is that a lot? Maybe. What do you think?
I'm going to say 470,000.
470,000?
470 million. Oh, if I go on slowly.
$100 million.
What?
Which is still good.
That's surprising. Pretty low. Like, it's more the money than And that's not how much money he actually has. That's how much he's estimated to be worth as an intellectual property. What that means.
Yeah.
Still more money than I'll ever be worth. But anyway.
Unless we get really big with Moviecast, we become the biggest
we
movie podcast on the planet.
Premier movie podcast.
That definitely won't happen.
Hey,
but
whatever.
You know, we'll have fun with it. Yeah, that has been Moviecast.
That is Kevin James.
The highest and lows.
Highest and lows.
We'll definitely do this again sometime. Mostly because we were under an hour and a half this time.
Which is good, because we want to keep them under an hour. 45 minutes to an hour, so we're pretty much right on time.
Yeah. If you're watching this, let us know who else we should look at the highs and lows of. Will Smith, we thought about. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. Probably other people that we've talked about before that I'm not thinking of.
We definitely we want to do an Adam Sandler one, but we just did Kevin James, so a lot of that would be overlap. Yeah, and if you have, again, any ideas as to
what you want us to talk about,
let us know. Now, shameless plug, but the Moviecast actually has a YouTube channel now that
you might be watching this on right now.
You might be watching this on now, but if not, and you're the one viewer right now, and you don't know, subscribe, because...
Let's go. I don't think I haven't even subscribed yet.
Actually, I haven't.
Are we gonna be able to find this thing?
Yeah, I can literally log into the account. But and that I say all that to say, the last couple will be uploaded probably within this week to YouTube. So that's good. And I don't know yet when they'll be on podcast services. Only in the sense that I can upload them to SoundCloud, but you get 180 minutes free, and our one podcast is like we could host one podcast without paying for it. So if you want to see them on podcast services, tell your friends. If you want to listen to them later, whatever.
We'll start a GoFundMe or something.
No,
Patreon.
Just tell your friends, because the more people that listen means that it's worth us to put it up.
Yeah.
Because if nobody's gonna watch it, we're not gonna pay the subscription fee for SoundCloud to put it up.
Yeah.
So if you want to listen to it, it'll be on YouTube probably a couple days. They'll take a little bit to upload. But yeah, that's the Moviecast. Make sure you guys also check out facebook.com/Shinman's List to read all the old movie reviews that the Shinmanator has up there.
Some new ones coming too.
I was gonna say he's got some in the works. And yeah. Again, this has been the Moviecast. I'm Logie Bear.
I'm Shinmanator. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you guys later.